We have with us here the president of the Carli Fishing Association Online, Imtiaz Khan. A pleasant good evening to you, Mr. Khan. How are things shaping up?
Good evening, Mikee K. How are you doing?
Well, I know you've had quite an evening, and I know that the MP for Couva North, Ratiram, is also in the vicinity. Tell us what has transpired from since earlier on.
Today I received a call at 9 a.m. that fishermen went to fish down on the south side in front of Maribela there, and they were raced by gentlemen on a vessel with ski mask and gun, telling them the statement they use is the order come from on top. You can't fish in here.
Well, have you had incidents like these in the past? I mean, I know for a fact that you raised the issue of security for fishermen. We've had talks about pirates and what have you. But what is happening now currently? I mean, as far as, is there someone calling the shots to shut down the entire fishing area?
That's the way to look at it, because here what? We had incidents in the north. We can't go to fish in the north. No, we can't go to fish in the south. So we back against the wall. So we need to stand for something, because we need to ask questions. Why is this happening? And it is happening to fishermen basically from the central area. You don't hear that happening nowhere else around Trinidad. Why?
But give us an idea what took place. I mean, you showed up. Tell us exactly what transpired.
When I received the call, they said they are a bit disturbed because this is what happened. The fuel of the vessel, they come to fish, they see in the fish, and they can't catch the fish because the guys them with the gun on the vessel, threatening them, bouncing the boats, cut up one of them nets and stuff, and that was happening today. With all the boats that wanted, because the fish keep moving up and down in the Gulf, so wherever the fishermen see the fish, they're going to get the fish, and they were told they can't fish in the area.
Do you have any idea who are the individuals that are restricting the fishermen from carrying out their trade?
It's locals and it's people from the Maribela area. That's what the fisherman told me.
All right. Do you have the MP close by? If we can speak with him, please.
Yeah. MP.
And of course, apparently, the MP has been with them for the entire evening. Couva North MP, Ratiram.
How are you doing, my brother?
Pleasant good evening to you, sir. And we're hearing some news that is definitely not good at all coming out of the area. Give us an idea. Are you currently at the police station?
I am in front of the Couva police station. Inside, we have a few captain filing reports with the police of the incident of crime that has been happening in and around the fishing community. For the longest while, these fisher folk has been victims of crime, whether it is being placed under duress, whether it is receiving threats, whether it is they are victim of arson, where their vessels have been burned down, whether their engines have been stolen, and even some of them have lost their lives. It's really a sad state of affairs, because for the longest while we have been calling upon the Minister of National Security, Fitzgerald Hines. We even met with the Minister and provided recommendations to the Minister to assist the fisher folk by having the establishment of a Coast Guard base here in Carli Bay, engaging the TTPS Riverine Unit to do their job and to patrol the areas. However, we have not gotten any kind of positive, favorable response from this sleepyhead minister. The fisher folk is now filing their report individually at the Couva police station. I have spoken with the senior officer in charge, the corporal. I have spoken to the inspector in charge of the Couva police station, and they are going to forward these reports to the TTPS Riverine Unit, hoping that we will get the cooperation of the Riverine and the Coast Guard.
No.
This is an issue that has been ongoing for the longest while.
And that's the point here. I mean, what you're telling us is that the history of this didn't start overnight or over the weekend. This has been going on for quite some time.
Asking me if they should go to work tomorrow. They're saying, should we go to work tomorrow? Should we burn that gas to go outside there and face guns in our face again? Are we going to get a response tonight from the Minister of National Security? Are we going to get a response tonight from the Coast Guard? Because all their cries continue to fall in deaf ear.
Now, and MP, you said you have met with the Minister of National Security. You've had communications with him. I mean, based on that, how has correspondence been after as far as getting to resolve this situation so these men can ply their trade?
Mikey, we have continuously made representation to the minister at every single budget presentation, at every standing finance committee, at every mid-year review. And it is appearing now as though this is how the government wants the situation to be. It is now appearing as though they are incompetent and they are sleeping at the helm, because there has not been any sort of positive response, none whatsoever.
Tell us, how many fishermen altogether have been affected by this?
Listen, I just asked the guys a number of how much persons, because they said they want to bring the group together. They told me it's over 200 fisher folk here, you know. Just tonight alone, they told me it's over 18 captains are present here outside to make the report.
Now that you have lodged the official report with the police, is that correct?
The reports are being lodged at this point in time. Yes, that is correct.
All right. And you're saying over close to 200 fisher folks have been affected by this. And I mean, this is something, as you said before, and you mentioned, the history of this hasn't started yesterday or a week ago. What are some of the things, as far as low-hanging fruits, we should say, that could be implemented to at least start to address this issue?
Well, let me tell you, immediately what we need is more Coast Guard patrols out there. We need the riverine unit, that 4 vessels that have been gifted to the riverine unit by the U.S. Embassy. We need to have those things out and operating in the waters. We definitely need the presence of a Coast Guard base here in Carli in Central, because we have from Felicity, we have Brickfield, we have Orange Valley, we have the Carli Bay facility, we have Claxton Bay fishing facility. The entire Gulf is open to criminal activities, and we are pleading with the authorities to have a presence. Instead, they put a forward base down at the yacht club in San Fernando. And even when fisher folk went to the yacht club for support and for help, like the Lochan brothers, they complained that they did not have a working vessel at the yacht club in San Fernando. So what is really taking place? Millions and billions of dollars is being spent by national security, and that is not reaching down to the fishing community. It is not reaching down to the average citizen in this country to feel safer. And we have a Minister of National Security who said openly that that is not his responsibility and that is not his job to provide safety and security to the citizens.
I'm looking at some of the footage here, and I'm seeing that you guys have been walking through the area. Quite a bit of you, as a matter of fact. What's your next step? I mean, now that you've lodged this official complaint, I mean, what is your next step moving forward?
My next step is tomorrow. There's going to be a sitting of Parliament, and I intend to raise this in the Parliament. I intend to take this to the Parliament and elevate it to the highest level of representation that I can provide for my constituents and for the fishing community. I encourage the fisher folk to continue to do what they have to do also. One, to ensure their safety and their security. So to cooperate with the authorities, that is the Coast Guard, the riverine units, when they are going out, and let them know what their voyage is going to be. For example, tonight, I am going to contact the head of the Coast Guard and let him know that for those who are going out to the sea tomorrow, the areas that they are going out, so that the Coast Guard can provide that patrol support system.
Well, let me ask you this, for those who are, of course, looking on, I've heard so much conversation about, the high food bills and the food import bill and all of these things. And of course, that is passed on to consumers. One would think that as far as the agriculture and food production, this would be given some priority, seeing that so many people depend on this for their livelihood. And of course, it helps with so many of us who will be able to have access to what is going on. But now you're telling us that based on your meetings with the Minister of National Security and all the stakeholders, nothing has come out of this. And this has been going on basically for what, 2-3 years?
Mikey, it seems as though the priority of this government is to spend money, spend millions of money, and just puppy show the citizens. You remember the Agro Forum that took place last year?
Yes.
The Agri Expo, that $9 million puppy show. We're coming out of that agri. There was a mandate to reduce our food import bill. We have to applaud Guyana. We have to applaud the President of Guyana and his entire team, his Minister of Agriculture, and those folks in Guyana who are soon going to reach their target, their 2025 target of reducing their food import bill by 25%. But what has happened here in Trinidad and Tobago since last year, after that $9 million Papi Show Agro Expo, our food import bill increased from $6 billion to $7.3 billion. Our contribution of agriculture to GDP in this country continued to decline on a daily basis. That since this government came into office from 2015 to now, we have lost over $200 million worth of agricultural contribution to our GDP. So agriculture is under threat under this government, and now the fisheries industry is under threat by this government.
Well, let me ask you.
What we are trying to do also is to try to fast track and to push a fisheries management bill down the throats of the fishing community without any proper process. They have shut down the entire process that we were going through.
And that's what I wanted to ask you about this bill that many of the fishermen have been complaining about. I mean, basically they've given no input in this. There has been no consultation whatsoever. But many of the policies that the powers that be want to implement seems to be somewhat archaic and in no way is going to be expanding the industry anytime soon. I mean, and on top of that, I want to ask you, what do you say to those folks who are on the outside looking in and saying that the entire thing is so, it's so fragmented that there isn't even solidarity among those people who make up that whole fishing industry? What do you say about that?
Yes, they do need to make the report in groups of four. Yes, Mikey?
Yeah. What do you say to people who basically weigh in on it and say?
With respect to that, if you look at the bill that is being put out there, you will see that it was a revised bill, October 2023. 400 plus pages is now being put out there. Through the cabinet, through the ministry is putting out a 400 plus document with members of the fishing community to comment starting this weekend. It was over 30 years of work that has gone into this, right? Since I have become an MP, I've been sitting on that joint select committee, and we start year after year after year doing work on it. You know, this government collapsed that joint select committee, and it did not save the work of the committee, and no final report was prepared. So it's a whole new bill that is now going to be introduced, based on whatever it is their political will and intention are. We do not know how much taxes are going to be imposed in this new bill. We don't know how much penalties are going to be imposed on this new bill. We have no knowledge of how it is they're going to be treating the fishing community. While fisher folk and stakeholders have submitted written submissions, it was a process, and they were informed, but these fisher folks were prepared for stakeholder consultation from the Joint Select Committee, where they can come before the committee and they can be interviewed and defend their submissions.
Let me ask you this, MP, because basically it always boils down to one thing and one thing only. Do you believe, based on what is taking place here, that this is deliberately being done to undermine the industry because someone is eyeing to take over what's happening here as far as the whole fishing industry in Trinidad and Tobago?
Mikey, this government has always demonstrated to be one of the most wicked administrations that this country has ever seen. Wicked in all sense. Now they are placing our food security at the fore. Our food security is at risk in this country. When you are talking about a food import bill of $7.3 billion for the year, and agriculture contribution is less than $1.2 billion, we are now becoming dependent. We are now becoming highly dependent. We are no longer an independent nation, but we are now at the mercy of these people. And whatever they put down and they impose upon us now, we have to accept. That cannot be. We will not allow them to cause our citizens to go hungry, to starve. There are many citizens in this country who cannot afford to buy another grocery, who cannot afford to put another meal on their table because their pockets are empty. They have been hurting our citizens since they came into office, where they boasted about taking away that food card that used to help over 13,000. They take away baby grants. They take the milk out of the mouths of the children of this nation. And they have been one of the most wicked governments in office. And we will not sit back and allow that to continue, Mikey. We will continue to raise the volume. We will continue to represent. We will continue to fight for the vulnerable and the underprivileged, because we are led by the most compassionate, caring leader this country has ever seen, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Processor, who has been there at the fore of the development of this country, who has been there to take care of the mothers, to take care of the children, to remove VAT from over 7,000 food items, who is helping to develop agriculture, who invested into the pre-deal larceny squad, who invested into irrigation ponds, and who invested into food security for this country. As soon as this government came into office, they have dismantled everything that the People's Partnership Administration put in place.
Yeah. Well, MP, I want to thank you so much for taking time out. I know it hasn't been easy for you today, as well as all the other folks around you, all the fisher folk, everyone who is being, of course, directly affected by this. I want to thank you for taking time out and letting the public know right here on the Observer what is happening and some of the challenges that many of these fishermen are facing. Again, all the best to you, and hopefully it will, of course, get the attention of those in authority, especially in national security, and give the assistance that is needed. I mean, everyone should have a right to apply their trade. I mean, and to go out there and every day, it's not easy. Thank you so much again.
Thank you very much, Mikey, and thank you for representation. I tell our citizens out there to stand their ground and continue to stay united. This government is in the waiting gallery on the way out, and it is just a matter of months that we will see the back of this government.
Thank you so much.
Keep strong and best wishes to everyone.
Best of luck to you and your entire team. Thank you.